Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Rolka. Thank you for checking out my video. This is the first video, and we are going to begin by looking at agility in our voices. The first video in a series on agility, I should say, that we're going to do. In order to have agility in your singing, you need to have balance. When we talk about balance in singing, we are talking about the relationship of vocal fold closure, or adduction, and airflow is how it's usually phrased, but it's really subglottic air pressure. So subglottic air pressure and vocal fold adduction, those two things work together to keep you light and fast. I'm going to talk a bit more in this video because I want to show you how to do the breathing so that you are getting a sense of how you need to breathe moving forward through this series to keep your voice as agile as possible. So today we've got two exercises that are going to help you practice breathing for singing. I'm going to help you get nice, agile vocal fold adduction. I am going to talk a bit more, but I still want to say thank you if you have chosen to subscribe. And if you haven't yet, I hope that you'll do so now. And I do want to also say thank you to my Patreon supporters. It is with your support that I can keep on going, and I so greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. We have two exercises. One is going to help you establish good expansion and retain your engagement throughout the duration of the exercise. And the other one's going to challenge it a little bit. In both of these exercises, you will take breaths at certain times. Only replace what you use. So every time you stop to take a breath, don't feel like you have to go for broke and get super tanked up. Just replace what you use. The goal will be to retain your expansion and engagement throughout the duration of the entirety of the exercises, not just when you're making sound. So that means in those pauses and also when you are taking a breath. You can, in fact, retain about 60% of your muscle engagement while inhaling if you do it the way I'm going to show you. Now, a lot of times we're taught to stick our stomachs out and then pull them in order to get support, quote unquote. This is largely ineffective, I'm sorry to say, and many of us are taught that. I was taught that way. It was when I realized I was doing it incorrectly and I realized what Apagio breath management looked like that everything changed. When you practice Apagio, everything starts with a lateral expansion of the rib cage. From there, you then recruit the muscles through the core of your body. They're going to lift up towards your sternum, and then you're ready to sing. So it all kind of looks like this. And
he, 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 he.
Notice that when I sang those exercises, in between key areas, I didn't allow my ribcage to collapse. I retained my expansion. I would like you to try to do that now. I'm going to be playing in two hands. Lower voices might start here. Upper voices may start there. If you find that you're most comfortable somewhere in the middle, that's fine. Just wait a key area or two until it comes into that range, and then jump right in. And we're going to take a little pause. When you are practicing exercises like this, shorter sets, a little break, and then do another shorter set. So let's start again. I'm going to start as here. Mezzos and sopranos, you're going to be right at your primo passaggio. I suppose tenors, if you're doing it there, you may be in your secondo passaggio, but I would suggest you start down there. And And as I was saying, it is generally better to do these exercises in the most comfortable area that you feel comfortable in singing. This way, and generally speaking, that's going to be your thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, your chest voice, your speaking voice. We do this because we just want to be very, very comfortable while we are focusing on the technique of arpeggio breath management, rather than trying to also navigate registration events or anything like that. That will come in time. Right now, easy as possible. One more time, and... We'll take another pause and then we'll begin again. I might now mention that when you take your initial inhalation, and this is a good time to rest, by the way. If you're still holding your expansion, you can relax for a second. When you take your initial expansion, if you're doing the lateral expansion correctly, you'll automatically breathe, and you'll almost automatically breathe to about 80% of your capacity. Stop there. Don't go beyond that 80% capacity. You may find that from time to time, you need to exceed that, but in general, 80% is what we want to be at. That's the sweet spot for us. There, we get really, really good expansion, and we can recruit the muscles quite effectively to control that volume of air. Go beyond it, and it gets a bit trickier. So leave that for another time, if ever. It rarely ever comes into play, speaking for myself personally, to need to go beyond that. On the other side of it is that you never want to go with less than 20% in reserve. Less than 20%, and you almost have to collapse the rib cage. And when you've done that, then you lose the position of the diaphragm, because once you've collapsed the ribs, the diaphragm will ascend in the core of your body, and you get less effective, quote-unquote, support or subglottic air pressure. Let's keep going. And... Now, in the second exercise, the pattern, in fact, is exactly the same, except that we are going to take breaths, a short little sip of air, in between each of the short articulations in the arpeggio, all the while maintaining our expansion and engagement. So it'll look like this. And... Notice how evenly I take the breaths. They're like an eighth note pattern in between the he syllables. They're very, very short, but they're right in time. Try to be very disciplined in how you approach them. If you notice that they come right before the next articulation or immediately following the one that precedes it, that would suggest that you're releasing more muscle engagement than is ideal. Try to find the sweet spot where you are expanded and engaged, and you are able to make those articulations, the he syllables, and the short sips of air, inhalations, very metronomic. Bup, 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 bup. All right? You're up. And... and take a short little pause here. You can release Allow your rib cage to close in and just relax for a second. Sometimes rolling out your shoulders can be nice. Just shake it off a little bit. I would also add too, when you are doing these exercises, check in with the trapezius muscles and the muscles in your neck. You may just gently roll a little bit to break up any tension that might accumulate there. Let's keep going. And I want to remind you, like in the last exercise, maintain your lateral expansion, maintain the engagement of the muscles in the core of your body. You will certainly feel a little bit of rectus abdominis engagement. Try to see if you can feel the muscles in the sort of intercostal area and the latissimus dorsi, the back muscles, engaging a little bit to help you maintain that lateral expansion of the rib cage. And one more little pause before we do the next set. Again, these pauses are because we want to come to this technical practice with as much good energy as we can. We want to be fresh as much as possible. So a little pauses in between can be very, very beneficial. And there you go. Whoops. Knocking stuff over here. That's the beginning. Agility is about balance. If you want to be fast, you have to be balanced. If you're too heavy, you're never going to be fast enough. You're just using too much force, too much brute muscle strength to move the notes that quickly. So we're going to start by learning about balance. This is directly about apagio breath management. And we will move on from there. And I promise you, the exercises will get very, very fun indeed. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you so very much, folks in Patreon. I truly appreciate the support. And those of you who've become a member here on YouTube of my channel, thank you for your support as well. I truly appreciate it. It really helps me keep going. And honestly, I just couldn't do it without you. So thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. And hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.